Welcome back. Dan Christensen is the founder of the Florida Bulldog and has been battling the Bush and now Obama administrations for access to documents related to 9/11 and the possible involvement of the Saudi government. Dan is a longtime South Florida journalist, and I'm thrilled to welcome here today. Dan's an old friend. Good morning, Dan.
Hey, good to see you, Jim.
So, first off, let's talk about what you've been trying to achieve over these last many years since 9/11. What have you been looking for?
Well, I mean, all we're simply trying to do is get the truth out here as to what happened. We're trying to obtain FBI documents that they have refused to release since we first began asking for them officially in 2011. And we're also trying to get the 28 pages released from Senator Graham's report.
Where do things stand now?
They stand kind of on hold. We're waiting for a federal judge in Fort Lauderdale to rule. He's been reviewing 80,000 pages that were released to him by the FBI for his review.
These 80,000 pages, these are FBI reports of interviews that they conducted in the aftermath of 9/11.
Yes, and they all have to do with the what have come to be called the Sarasota Saudis, which was a family of Saudis that were living in a very upscale neighborhood just south of Sarasota that were found to have ties with some of the hijackers, including Muhammad Atta.
What is the theory here? What's the concern, or what are we trying to look for, essentially? Try to put all the pieces together to show exactly how this occurred, the 9/11 attacks?
Well, even more fundamentally than that, we're simply trying to find out now whether or not there was a connection here. These people appear to have been connected, perhaps helping the hijackers. There's been another episode of that was discovered by Senator Graham's inquiry out in San Diego, and it appears as if there was a support network for the hijackers here.
Obviously, for any administration, the Bush administration, the Obama administration, if it were to become known that the Saudi government or elements of the Saudi government actively participated in the 9/11 attacks, that could have huge consequences on the relationship between the United States and the Saudi government.
You would think so, and that seems to be why there has been a resistance to releasing this information. But the bottom line is we had 3,000 people murdered in the terrorist attacks of 2001. Families want justice here. They're attempting to sue the Saudis, and the whole thing could come out in court if it's allowed to do so.
The fight that you've waged to sort of get these documents made public, this is a very daunting task you've taken on. You know, obviously the Florida Bulldog does not have deep financial resources. You're not, Jeff Bezos at the Washington Post that can finance a race, or even the Salzberg family at the New York Times. How are you doing this?
We're doing it. Well, first of all, we are a not-for-profit charity. We're a 501c3, tax exempt. We survive on contributions that are given to us. And in this case, we've survived on the generosity of Tom Julin, who is a wonderful First Amendment lawyer in town. He and his firm, Hunt & Williams, have represented us pro bono on this for the last 5 years and allowed all this to happen. We would not be where we are now, which is kind of at the doorstep to getting these documents released without their help.
Now, you come at this, I've known you for a long time. You're not a partisan. You're not a Republican trying to embarrass the Democrats or a Democrat trying to embarrass the Bush administration. You're coming at this as a journalist, seeking truth and seeking answers.
All we want to know is what happened here.
How difficult is it to sort of see these roadblocks that have been put in your path to try to get access to these documents for the American people?
Well, it's been professionally daunting. I mean, until now, I hadn't even used the Freedom of Information Act because it was worthless, or seemed to be worthless. And it seemed to be worthless initially here. The FBI completely stonewalled us, said they had no documents, until after we sued. Then, and after we started getting statements, formal statements from people like Senator Graham, who said that they knew that there were some documents because they had seen them. And so at that point, the FBI began to release documents, including one particular document that was basically said the opposite of what they've said publicly, and that is that there were many connections, that's their words, between the people that lived in Sarasota and the hijackers.
Why do you think, we only have about 30 seconds left, why do you think some of the bigger news organizations, New York Times, Washington Post, others, haven't been as diligent as you've tried to be in going after this material? They seem to just move on to the next big story.
Yes, I mean, that's a product of journalism, as you know. And Why they haven't come back on this yet, I don't know.
They're starting to, though, now.
60 Minutes did a wonderful piece about the 28 pages a month and a half, I think it was about a month and a half ago. That's what's fueled the intense interest here. And we've begun to get inquiries. The Daily Beast did a story about the 80,000 pages that are out there and what's happened in Sarasota. We're hoping that'll lead to additional coverage.
It's basically from a standpoint the public has a right to know what went on during this period of time, if for no other reason than because of this event.
Yes, and the victims' families deserve to know who was behind killing their relatives.
Dan Christensen from the Florida Bulldog, I really appreciate your coming in. We'll continue to talk to you about this story and, see where it goes, but I know you'll stay on it.
Hey, Jim, thanks for having me.
All right. We'll be right back.